Cam, I just want to get back to kind of the cash on corporate balance sheets, and what do you think corporations should be doing with it? Should they be returning that to investors, stock repurchase? We've seen an uptick in M&A recently. You've also talked about kind of emerging markets. Should they be deploying some of that money in emerging markets? What's the right answer?
Okay, so we've got $1.8 trillion in the so-called cash hoard. Okay, so um, what should they be doing with that? And what you actually, what I would prefer not to happen is to go on some spending spree, like like Northern Telecom did when they had all their cash, and everything they bought they destroyed, and destroyed themselves at the same time. Um, that would be a huge mistake. So we don't want a spending spree. A lot of firms, and the CFO survey that we did, we asked this question. A lot of firms are just playing wait and see for two distinct reasons. Number one, the policy uncertainty. They don't know if there's going to be another leg down in terms of the economy, and don't want to be in a situation where the firm is put at risk. Therefore, let's sit on the cash. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is kind of related to this in that they don't trust the financial institutions anymore. And basically, even though they've got lines of credit and things like that, those are somewhat discretionary. And if we do go into a financial crisis, you have to basically use internal finance rather than external finance. So internal finance is generated funds within the firm, and cash is the main thing. They look at the auto sector. And Chrysler and GM went down because they didn't have a cash hoard. Ford was able to pull through it because they had a cash hoard. So I think that it's very strategic right now that firms are waiting for the uncertainty to resolve, and they've kind of discounted the traditional means of external finance. And there right now is not a good reason to deploy that cash. Not right now, because we're in a situation of substandard growth that will not make a dent in the unemployment rate. And that is very risky. Now, what about deploying that cash overseas? And I think you have to have, a place overseas to actually do it. And Eurozone is not attractive right now. Japan is not very attractive. Japan has almost never been attractive in terms of U.S. investment. So you've got emerging markets. Well, yeah, there's high growth prospects in emerging markets, but as we learn in Finance 101, high growth is associated with high risk. So there's only so much exposure that you can bear. You're not going to take all your cash and drop it into Brazil. That is like an undiversified bet. So I think there's a limited number of opportunities for that cash right now. I believe that some will be returned to shareholders, but only a very small amount. I think that there's option value to that cash. They might also be waiting for prices to go even lower before doing acquisitions. But acquisitions are not necessarily the panacea for this economy either. Okay, acquisitions often just mean greater market power, and prices are higher for consumers. It doesn't necessarily help the economy as a whole. There's some acquisitions that do help. Many acquisitions don't help. So it's a case-by-case basis. So I think the issue of the cash hoard is very important. And the way that plays out is going to be kind of a leading indicator of what's going to happen in the economy.